Whoa!
Whoa!
It's been a while for one of these.
For one of what?
The Power Trip Gaming Retrospectives.
We're back to the retrospectives?
We're back to the retrospectives.
Oh my god, and you're choking!
I am.
It's gonna become Paul's trip!
Definitely not.
I'm shocked.
Nothing will ever get done.
I'm shocked these two can finish anything, so...
Ain't that the truth?
That is pretty freaking
accurate.
accurate.
Look how long it took us to come back to Faria. Yes, we're doing our Power Trip Retrospective series again
Yes.
because we have scores of games that we still have to come back to.
Yes, we do.
Do you know how much a score is?
How much a score is?
Yes,
What do you
score
mean?
is actually a numerical value.
Oh, it's 20.
I always thought it was 7.
No.
I thought a score was 7 years.
No, four
score.
score and 7 years ago. Four
Oh,
score
maybe
is
that's where I recognized it.
420s, so 87 years ago.
420, blaze it! Sick! We're off to a good start!
Sick burn, bruh.
Sick burn.
Get it? Burn? Burn 420?
Oh my god, full circle.
Yes!
Alright,
Why am I friends with you two?
back to the retrospective series. I love doing them, and we have to do them anyway because we have so many games still to go that we never gave our reviews on.
And just kind of putting it into perspective, or retrospective, if you will. So at some point of us playing games, we started giving like a score of what we thought the difficulty was, what the fun of the game was. But we look back on some of our older videos, and for some reason, we never really talked about that. And
we never did.
And so we wanted to go back to each game, give our basic analysis, kind of talk about the story, any fun facts that we know about it, but then give our difficulty and our fun on the game, and then decide whether or not it was worth it.
Absolutely. So today we're going to be tackling Legendary Wings by Capcom.
By Capcom, who was fantastic, probably one of the largest developers and publishers at the time, because they were actually big enough that any game that was published by Capcom was more than likely developed by Capcom as well too, which was something that video game companies or developers really couldn't do. They may have had the know-how to develop games, but they were not big enough to publish, and Capcom and Konami were two of the biggest ones.
The biggest juggernauts on the NES.
Who were able to both develop their own games and then publish them because they were that big.
Who would you say is the third?
Who was the third?
Who was the third biggest of them?
Well, I mean,
there were a lot
technically Nintendo was their own developer and publisher.
I was thinking like Taito did a whole shitload of games, but I don't think they were that.
No,
Jaleco did a whole handful,
and to be quite honest, I don't think that they ever published the games. But Rare was a huge developer, and in fact, I think they were probably one of the first of the of the third-party developers to kind of like come in to do stuff for Nintendo. But after Nintendo, they would do their own stuff, and then Rare kind of came in to.
But definitely, Capcom and Konami were definitely two of the biggest titans on the NES. They really were. I mean, most of their games, for the most part, were incredibly good. There are very few balls dropped from them. So,
yeah, I don't think there was any stinker that was ever made from Konami or Capcom. Yeah, you may have had games that were subpar, or a little bit just kind of lacked boring, but you knew that you had at least a consistently fun game, and it may not have wowed you, but it was going to be a good game, and it was going to be fun.
Yes. So today we'll be talking about Legendary Wings. So, this game came out in 1986 in the arcades, and then it came out into 1988 on the NES.
Came out into 1988?
Came out into 1988.
Nice!
On the North American NESs. Yes.
Yes, it did. Yes, the NTSCs.
Yes. So, the game basically it's a top-down shooter with some side-scrolling shooting segments. You play as two soldiers who are given the wings of love
and courage.
Almost weirdly Zelda-like.
It is almost Zelda-like. So yeah, very, very short story, short and sweet. Two characters who are given the wings of love and courage by Ares, the god of war, so that they can stop an enemy who's named Dark, who is trying to destroy basically everything in the world. And so they are given the wings of
the legendary wings, would you say?
Legendary wings of love and courage, and it is up to them to destroy Dark and restore the world.
Basically.
That's basically it. There's nothing else to this game.
Not really. So you have various gun power-ups where you start with just the basic single shot. You get one power-up, you get 2 lasers. The next power-up, you get some swingy balls. And then the third power-up, you get the Firebird, which shoots a wave of fire, which is badass!
Which is literally like the scrolls in TMNT.
Pretty fucking much.
Which is actually a different game, or it's a different company. That's Konami. But when I saw that, I'm just like, oh my god, Konami stole that from Capcom. That's the scroll weapon.
So this game, you only lose lives if you are pinned, which happens a lot, or you are hit at your lowest power level. And that's the only way to really lose a life.
Yeah.
So this actually, I suppose this will segue into our difficulty. So, what would you give this game for difficulty? Or would you like me to go first?
So, why don't you go first? Because I have an idea of what the difficulty is, but I don't want it to sound like too high or too low, so I want you to kind of jump in first.
So I grew up with this game. I loved it all throughout my childhood. So I kind of knew this game inside and out. So the difficulty for me, like, just knowing it was a 2. However, the layman... And honestly, if this were something we were picking up for the first time, I gave this game a difficulty of 3. Levels are really not that long. They're really not that hard. It kind of fell into the same way as like Dragon Spirit did, where there's lulls of nothing, and the game kind of crawls. It's no Guardian Legend in terms of speed. That's for damn sure. And there's definitely no Guardian Legend in terms of how many things are coming at you.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So enemies are scarce. They really don't do much. A few things will shoot at you. Some things will pop out of the sides and then come up. But really, it's not that bad. You can get sucked down into like these dungeons from these big mouths in the fucking ground, which really, those are annoying. They're sluggish because it brings you into a side-scrolling segment and you fight these weird woogly worms that come out of the walls and go back. It's very strange.
Woogly worms?
Woogly worms. They really are. They're woogly worms. I think I got caught once in our playthrough in there, because eventually those mouths come up and they just start spitting shit at you and suck you in. But otherwise, there's nothing inherently hard about this game.
So to me, I never really played a lot of this game growing up. It was one of those where there was just the sheer volume of games. There was a good chance that growing up, you probably didn't play 95% of the Nintendo library.
No.
And so I never played this game growing up, but what I saw, and granted, you kind of took the reins, you destroyed the game. I honestly, if I was going into it blindly, I would say that the difficulty was a 4. Maybe
really?
I would say that it's between that 3 and 4, but I would say 4 because I didn't know it going into it. But again, nothing, like, echoing what you said, nothing looked overtly difficult about it. There were lulls where there was a decent amount of enemies on the screen, but nothing that you couldn't tackle. The flying segments where it's the overview, like, it literally looks like a 1942 just with not as many enemies coming at you.
Basically.
It's so easy to control. The side-scrolling elements of it, it's auto-scrolling, but it goes at a snail's pace, and so I don't think that there's a chance that you might get pinned if you're curious and you're trying to get some of the points and the treasures and power-ups and stuff, but it doesn't look like there's a lot of chance that you will ever get caught in those areas. So, and honestly, the side-scrolling looks like there are points where there's just nothing happening.
No.
It's literally a pick-a-path. And then the bosses are in the, from the top-down view, it's the dragons at the end, and then at the side-scrolling, it's a big, like, boss enemy thing.
It's a weird brain ship.
Whatever, yeah, it's a weird ship, and so they do not look difficult at all. So honestly, I mean, I could see, like, if you don't have, like, the power-ups and stuff, if you're weak, it may be difficult, but honestly, this is a game where I honestly think that, I mean, even a person who's never played this game before, they're gonna find that it's actually, it's less than middle of the road as far as the difficulty goes.
It is limited continues. But like I said,
but like you said, you don't lose a life until you die at your lowest level.
Yeah.
And so you could literally die like 3 times, 4 times before you actually lose a life.
And even once you're in the Firebird, you can take 3 hits before you go down a power level.
Oh jeez, so you have even more.
You have even more.
Yeah.
So really the only way to die is getting pinned, which can happen pretty easily. And I know it happened to me in our playthrough, like I said. And the game, it's one of those where once you lose your power-ups, it gets hard.
It gets hard.
Yeah, because I lost my power-ups right at the end, right at one of the end bosses of a stage, and the enemy will shoot these eyeballs at you out of these ports. Those ports take fucking forever to destroy with your basic gun.
Yes, they do.
And it's a thumb killer. So, but I still feel like it's easy enough to dodge. So to me, like, it still feels like a 3. Because, like I said, you get so many hits when you're at the Firebird, and even not the Firebird. Like, the power-ups you get are all useful, so it doesn't really ever feel that difficult.
I mean, I would be more inclined to agree with your difficulty of it. Even though I haven't played it before, honestly, there's not that many enemies. There's very few points where enemies are even shooting at you. And so it doesn't feel like you're like in a bullet hell or you're doing anything that just like is overwhelming. So I mean, honestly, I would side with you and say it's that 3.
I believe because it's been many years since we've played this, and I don't know how much you remember from it, but I have a feeling if you plugged it in right now, you would have no trouble beating this game.
Probably. I honestly I don't. I remember enough about it that I honestly don't think that I could pick it up and I probably wouldn't have it nearly as much difficulty as I did with.
So, let's move on to fun.
All right.
Because what would you give this game for fun?
So, depending on the controls, like I think if the controls are like if they're pretty responsive, if you can move pretty easily,
they're pretty
honestly.
tight.
Even though I've said that the game itself looks a little boring at times because of the pace that it goes and like the lack of enemies and just these open voids for like at parts, I honestly would probably give this game a 6.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I think that honestly the graphics are pretty good. Although like some of the side-scrolling parts are just they're bland. They're boring on a black screen. But I mean, the boss ship is really cool. Your character is very detailed. The music is it's very good Capcom music. Capcom always had great quality music. So I mean, I think the soundtrack really does help at some of those lulls where it will pick it up where you don't notice it. And each one of the levels is definitely like very colorful, and it does give you a variety where the game is long enough that you feel like you're getting a quality game, but short enough to where it doesn't feel like, oh my god, is this game gonna end? Because that's a big thing for me. Is like some games just I don't know
they drag on so
they wanted
long.
to give you more for your money, but they didn't vary it enough to where it just feels like it just drags on. And Legendary Wings never felt like that.
No.
So honestly, I would say that it's middle of the road, but it's above that because I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's one of Capcom's standout games, but it's definitely like not one of their lower tier games.
No,
to me. So I would give it a 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go 7 because the
Are you? Do you
I'm going
have the
7.
rose colored glasses on?
The reason being is I love the idea of the power-up system, and I like the fact that you can take multiple hits. In this era of games, shooters were generally a one and done. Take a hit, dead. Like look at Gun Knack, look at Abadox, look at a lot of those where it's once you take that hit, you're dead. Sky Kid. Well, actually no, Sky Kid wasn't. You had a chance to recover. But so anytime in a shooter where you have quote unquote a life bar,
Sure.
I'm all for it. And that if I was coming into this game for the first time, I would have loved that part. I like the idea of the power-ups. I always think that's a cool touch in a lot of shooters. Whether opposed to like games where it's like, oh, it's an attachment on the side of your fucking thing. Look at Thundercade. What a shitty shooter that game is. So this, even though it had that variety of guns you could get, like having to grab the attachment on either side or the front or whatever, it was fucking irritating.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
This game is great for that. And plus this game's 2-player, which is, we never did it, but 2-player simultaneous. That's a lot of fun.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. The reason it doesn't get higher than a 7, well, I suppose I should flush that out. Colorful as hell. The overworld is where the game shines. Like the vertical scrolling.
Yeah, the top view. Yep.
All the levels are different. All the music is just top notch. It's top notch Capcom fare. I love the way the levels are designed. The only reason it doesn't get higher is because the side scrolling are all the same. Colors change, and it's the same music every time. And it's a slog to get through the side scrolling.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it doesn't get higher than a 7 for me. But that feeling of being the Firebird is fucking incredible. Like, you feel like a badass. And I love that. Even that feeling of power to this day, like when Dragon Spirit, when I got the fire shot and you're just toasting everything, that's the Firebird.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, this game feels solid enough to be a 7, where it's still a step up, but... And I think you could actually get more continues, too. But I feel like there's enough here to where it's definitely a good step above middle of the road, not just edging out above middle of the road, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense, but I don't know, honestly, if I would agree with the 7, though.
No?
Because, and you actually said it very well, too, is that the top-down is where it's at, because you got different music, every level looks different. I know, like, one is like you're flying in mountains, one is like you're flying over water, so it's nice and varied. The music is absolutely kick-ass, but the other half of the game is basically in these side-scrolling areas, and you said it's a slog to get through.
Schlag.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
You did. I was going to say, why are you laughing
It's
about
just
it now?
because I like
Just the way you pronounce it.
It's a real schlag.
But it's very it's tough to get through. It's boring. It's always the same music. The colors may be different, but there's really, I don't even think there's any enemies in the side scrolling.
There are.
There's like very
not...
limited enemies.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, you have a great game or a good game, but you're already now saying that 50% of the game is boring. Well, and you're trying to get through this 50% in order to get to the top down, which is where it shines, which is fantastic. Yeah, it's great that you have the Firebird makes it really cool. The pickups that you can get are great. But honestly, if you have a game that is inferior or less than stellar for half of the game, I honestly don't feel like you give it as high as a 7. That's why I think so? That's why I think I am pretty strong on my 6, where it is above middle of the road. But I think there was a few things that they should have done that could have, that kept it from being higher than that.
I can see that. So. I think I agree with you on that, actually. I could go down to a 6, I suppose. It'd be a high 6,
absolutely. But I would definitely, yeah. I agree. High 6, but I honestly think that this game had a few things that kept it from being higher than that 6.
Oh, yeah. I can definitely agree with that.
The game had a lot of potential, but it kind of fell short on too many key things.
My boy, I suppose I should have looked this up. Okay. Yeah, alright. So we got 3 for difficulty, 6 for fun. So, what did you pay for Legendary Wings?
So, Legendary Wings. I remember back in the day, I picked this game up at a video game store in Dubuque, Iowa, of all places.
Oh
Dubuque, Iowa. And I paid $5 for this game, and it was the game and the box. I think
that's a good price.
I think it didn't have the instruction booklets or the instruction booklet with it.
I feel like my parents found a whole box of instruction manuals. I feel like Legendary Wings is in there, and you took it.
I almost feel like I'm gonna have to check it out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally right there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had the instructions for it, and I'm pretty sure you took them.
Let me see here.
I felt like something was in there.
Sure enough. I've got the instruction booklet for it.
Was it the one I had?
Actually, no. Maybe I did get it complete then. Oh yeah, no, I did get it complete. Okay.
Coffee stain and all.
Oh yeah, with a big old black old coffee stain right there. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, no, I do remember I paid $5 for it.
All right. So as of this video on PriceCharting.com, Legendary Wings, $8.18.
$8.18 for Legendary Wings.
Do you feel that's worth it?
You know what? Honestly, without a doubt, yes, it's totally worth it.
I agree.
I honestly think that you will, Well, while there are games that are better out there, the price is just you will get your bang for your buck.
I think so.
At that point. The game was well done. I think it's definitely above middle of the road. And the price that you pay, you're gonna have a good time with this game.
Absolutely. I feel like the game was unique enough in this because it's another one of the we talk about this a lot with shooters. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a spaceship. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't like you weren't a ship. You were something else. Mm-hmm. And for us, that always scores another point.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, and that's always cool to us.
It was Scat before Scat came out.
Really?
In 1992.
So like that always resonates with us, where it's like you're not a ship or a plane of some sort, because this area was so rife with like space shooters.
It really
plane
was.
shooters.
Yeah.
Like, seeing something different was always good. Mm-hmm. So 818, I say absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like
definitely,
especially for a Capcom title.
Yeah.
That's a really good price for it, and you will get your bang for your buck out of this.
Yes.
This game's fun.
Yes, you will.
I do enjoy it.
It's definitely a unique title. Honestly, if you like shooters, it's definitely a must then to have in your collection. But if you're a casual player who just wants to try something new and different, for the price that you pay for it, it's absolutely a great deal.
Yeah,
I would say.
It's common enough. You can find this very easily.
This game is not hard to find at all. It's one of the Capcom does have quite a few rare titles, but this one you'll more than likely find it for probably even cheaper than that $8.18.
And I'm sure it's in a couple of collections here and there.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's easily accessible. Even if you don't find the actual cart, I'm sure you can find it somewhere else.
Yes, exactly.
But it's a great game. 818, I feel like, is great. A great price for it. So
definitely,
there we go.
Yeah. What is it with you and the burps? It's like, all right, we're done.
That's our end. That's what the thing. So hit us up on Facebook.
Hit us up on Twitter.
Go to powertripgaming.tv. Takes you directly to the channel where you can watch all of our other videos. Watch Legendary Wings. The link is in the description.
Yes. Watch us play that. Watch us play any other Nintendo game that we have played up to this point. Or watch our side quest material.
That's right.
Yeah.
Go on iTunes or Stitcher and search for the PTG Powercast.
Thank you for not saying BTG Powercast.
I didn't say BTG. Where we talk about whatever we feel like.
Whatever we feel like. Video games, life, Pokemon.
Kevin, thanks for being on for nothing.
You literally did not say anything. You
didn't ask me. You didn't ask for my opinion once. I hate you guys.
Did you even edit this one? You don't even know.
I don't remember. It was 4 years ago.
He did grab us Legendary Wings though, and I could see that I had the stained.
I mean, I only got one thing to say about it. At least it wasn't designed like a quarter burner game.
No, it actually.
No, you could tell, yeah.
And they actually had thought behind it compared to a lot of the shooters on the NES.
And the game itself did come out in arcades, was it?
86.
It was, yeah. It was an arcade game before it was, and it didn't feel like like a quarter guzzler.
So. No, well, who knows what the there might be a big disparity between the two.
That's true.
Because I mean,
I'm only talking about the NES version.
Oh, yeah. right, but absolutely. So there you go, guys. That's another PTG retrospective in the bank.
Yes.
So that'll do it.
That'll do it.
All right.
Next time on Power Trip Gaming,
we will review something better.
Yes, we will.
Shit. Bang, bang, bang.
Shit, no, we won't. Crap, because I know what's coming next.
Fuck.